With Boruto, the series shows you the many different ways to write a villain. There is the broken and redeemable character, Kawaki, the loser blind follower who the story itself is against but you just want to root for, or the stoic complex villain who can't be justified, Ishiki. But Jura's different. He takes some aspects from the different archetypes, but he's entirely new for the Boruto series. He's a unique breath of fresh air, and surprisingly with his bold introduction becomes the greatest of them all. His writing and build-up, even starting before his existence. With me today to dissect this character is Lieben, a fellow Naruto YouTuber and TikToker, and the King of Aura himself, Acro.
The King of Aura is crazy. Troy already introduced me. My name is Lieben. I do Naruto and Boruto content, and I'm glad to kind of talk about Jura today. I feel like he's a very underrated villain and antagonist, and we want to kind of explore the nuances, depth, and the themes that Jura covers in the story.
I'm also here as Troy's friend and as well as Liben's, and I'm here to talk about Jura, a personal favorite villain of mine.
To start off, his character's first introduced when we are introduced to Jigen's Ten Tails. It's like a pet who's untrained as it tries to eat Jigen while he's stealing chakra, but he still uses it and takes advantage of it while it's chained up with his rods. Left alone in an abandoned dimension, it's a weapon or tool, but one without a purpose. Now that he's dead, and one without a story like his brother in use, Kawaki. Once he's born, one thing becomes immediately obvious. It's his design. It's monstrous, but also it's made of Code's claw marks. Something that we found out is from a god Shibai, someone who transcended everything and broke away from this dimension. The very reason Code is so powerful. On one side, we have it's based on Ishiki's pet, his last remaining weapon besides Kawaki, but on the other hand, it's brought to life by Code, who carries Ishiki's will but was always unable to obtain his power as he was always unfit. Him, Kawaki, and Code immediately have a interesting relationship. Kawaki has his power but not his will, Code has his will but not his power, and Jura literally has Code's power and is planning to feed Kawaki to a tree to obtain his fruit, which would in turn give him Ishiki's essence or power, and continue the will of the Otsutsuki, reuniting both halves of Ishiki. Jura even questions what would happen if a divine tree like himself consumed the fruit.
Destruction, ruin, the end. These are the terms the Otsutsuki live by. Their goals, their end games. Gods who reign high above the heavens, feasting on life for their own gain and leaving worlds in ruin. Amongst the Otsutsuki, we are introduced to the strongest Otsutsuki we've seen yet, the one responsible for everything that has happened in Boruto yet, Ishiki Otsutsuki. In Boruto, Ishiki takes a role that's sort of like a trigger, his actions being the first dominant force that has far-reaching consequences. From Ishiki, we get Code, Ao, the Kara, and many others. From the moment Ishiki is introduced within Boruto through the vessel Jigen, we begin seeing hints of his true character, this culminating in his full revival and continuing even after his death, as we see his goals and desires. Through his death, Ishiki evolves as a character, Ishiki achieving his successor once realizing the true value of passing on his will. And it's through Code that the story of Boruto continues and evolves. From Code, we are introduced to Ada, to Daemon, and finally, the Shinju. Weapons are an integral aspect found within Boruto. Their use, their morality, and their usage at the hands of the Otsutsuki. Through Jigen, or rather Ishiki, we are formally introduced to two of his weapons, his most important weapons and beings in arsenal, two impossibly intertwined characters. These are Kawaki, the holder of Ishiki's karma and the key to his revival, and the second is the Ten Tails, the holder of Ishiki's dream and the key to his evolution. With these two beings, we are given two important facets to Ishiki's future and goal, the ingredients to his destruction. Through this, Jura and Kawaki are already linked in what they are, avenues of destruction, with their beginnings being that of destruction. Through their arcs and stories, we slowly watch them evolve beyond their inception.
What's interesting about Jura is that unlike any other Otsutsuki, he's not bound by legacy. He isn't trying to be defined by what happened prior. Ishiki and every Otsutsuki are given a goal of reaching the realm of Shibai through a continuous function, gaining more DNA and chakra from all living things on a planet. What makes Jura more interesting is that he isn't trying to be human, yet he also isn't being the tool he was meant to be. He's evolving without guidance, without purpose, and that's what sets him apart from the others. Kawaki clings to Naruto, Code clings to Ishiki, Jura clings to no one. Jura looks beyond these connections and sees them as weaknesses. Code tries to give him a purpose, but he doesn't listen. So how does Jura connect to Shibai? Shibai abandoned everything, even his body, for power, and that's what made him divine. Jura is the opposite of this. Instead of abandoning his body, he perfects it and keeps evolving. Jura then asks, what would happen if a divine tree ate a fruit? He poses the question of whether or not a tool can replace a god.
These ideas are also able to connect to the modern field of technology, the idea that AI may actually self-actualize and be able to take over humanity, thus replacing them. The idea itself isn't just a result of recent years, but an idea that has plagued us for decades. Similar ideas can be found in Terminator, when upon the development of a supercomputer called Skynet, the machine known as Skynet betrays its creators and takes over the world. Just like Jura betrays code, rebelling and acting on his own. And just like Skynet, Jura produces his own clones to wipe out humanity, his developing ego allowing him to act on his own, independent on the wills of others. And similar to Kyle-Elise, who travels back in time to stop the threat of Skynet, Boruto 2 uses future information in an attempt to stop the emergence of Shinju and stop the destruction of the planet at their hands.
We keep talking about technology and the theme of technology within the narrative of Boruto. So for this section, I want to kind of break down and explain how the story kind of escalates the theme of technology all the way up to the point of Jura. But before I explain that, I want to go over a common criticism I hear about Boruto, which is technology itself. Their critique goes as follows. Naruto is a show that had no technology, and Boruto having cyborgs, gadgets, etc. makes no sense. There are multiple issues with this view. Naruto had technology, the training exams had literal security cameras, there are items such as blow dryers, a big screen, and they're also on FaceTime with each other. It also makes sense in the context of Boruto that they would begin introducing technology more frequently. War is a time when technology advances, and after the war they begin to implement that technology in their day-to-day lives. You also have to understand that this is a different story written in a different context. Back in the early 2000s, internet and technology weren't as prevalent as they are today. How technology shapes who we are is a big thing in a time like this. So Ikimoto kind of explores that theme itself since it's very frequent within his day-to-day life, unlike Kishimoto himself. And we see that reflected within Boruto itself and how it explores the idea. It talks about how shinobi values interact with their day-to-day lives. We start with Boruto ignoring a key aspect of the shinobi values, which is enduring. He jeopardizes that by using technology and goes against his shinobi values, which is why Naruto says you're no longer a shinobi to Boruto. This is very relatable as sometimes we use technology to cheat on exams and jeopardize who we are in the process. Boruto is a shinobi, and because he cheats and takes the easy way out, he no longer is. The same idea applies in the context of cheating. We cheat because we shy away from the struggle that comes from studying, yet it's the same struggle that would lead to our growth. Boruto begins to understand that in the first arc. Momoshiki is the embodiment of cheating. He takes others' abilities and uses pills to make himself stronger. Boruto is in the middle of the crossfire. Naruto embodies the shinobi values and Momoshiki embodies the technology aspect. As Naruto gets defeated by Momoshiki, Boruto feels the weight of the Rasengan. He sees the struggle, evolution, and growth Naruto went through and realizes that true strength comes from enduring, not from an easy way out. Then this evolves further into exploring the other extreme of technology, the complete denial of it. Boruto believes technology is evil and isn't compatible with the shinobi tradition, but after witnessing how it helps Awa and the dog, he begins to understand that technology isn't inherently evil, what matters is the intent. The narrative then escalates to another issue with technology, from conflicting with shinobi values to conflicting with one's identity. There are two key examples of this. Kawagoki, who had been turned into a shinobi tool, struggles with the emptiness that Jigen points out. Ada, who had been transformed into a cyborg without her consent, struggles with forming genuine connections with anyone around her. The idea stems from how technology isolates people, where they are unable to form genuine connections. The fear finally evolves into one final step: technology that can think for itself. It's a common fear in our times, AI taking people's jobs, AI replacing humans. Jura's character is a response to these fears, where the Shinjus keep replacing shinobis, turning them into trees. Jura embodies the idea of AI. He's a being which lacks sentience, the 10 tails that gain that sentience. So it leads us to this question: when AI can do everything, what distinguishes AI from a human? What makes humans special if AI gains something only humans have, that is love, the ability to connect to another person emotionally? Jura sees this love as a weakness, and Boruto explains that it's because you view it that way that you will be nothing more than a tree. I'll let Akira and Choi explain Jura's perception of love more in depth now.
Every Shinju has a path of love that they embody. Hidari embodies the parental love with his instincts telling him to go after Sarada because that's Sasuke's daughter. Matsuri embodies the romantic side of love and her instincts tell her to go after Konohamaru because Moegi has secret feelings for him. Mamushi's love is non-consensual, with his victim being Ada, someone who captured Bug with her love ability without his consent, and it's fitting with his old man pervy archetype that anime tends to kinda have with like characters like Master Roshi, peeving into her Senragon domain when no one else could, something that was only for her and private. Ryu has a childlike innocent love, which is shown with his weird way of speaking and humor while also breaking the fourth wall. This is why he walks around with his hands in his pockets and he's toying around and controlling his opponents like puppets. His person is of course Gaara, because Shingi is Gaara's adoptive son. Jura's love is far more than just one person. He has a love for knowledge, and his victim is Himawari, a unique existence never before seen with ties to the Biju like himself. It goes all the way back to even the way he fights and lives. Jura, whenever he fights someone, he always holds back and allows his opponents to hit him. That's why in panels you often see him side-eyeing or looking at his opponents but not moving at all. This is so he can experience these new things such as more attacks like the Rasengan and Rasengan Uzuhiko, or even Himawari's punches, before he decides to finish them off. Because if you see the way he fights Himawari, he allows Himawari to always throw a new attack. She punches him, she uses the tail beast bomb, and she's also able to kick him. Or even while he's fighting Himawari, he allows her to punch him and he allows her to clash a Biju bomb with him, even using different means of attacking Himawari to see how her Biju-like regeneration operates in front of his eyes, before he of course decides to finish her off, just like he did Boruto. Once he enters the village, he walks around and visits the library, even commenting on how he doesn't want Kawaki to mess up the store, even coming back to buy more books and put money on his tabs in the future. Every Shinju embodies fully their path of love. They show the dangers of AI, artificial intelligence, or beings who are created from code or his power, going to how his name is a programming instruction. He can no longer control it, going into the very real fear that Acro and Lieben highlighted, the fear of technology and humans not being able to control what they created and technology turning on us. This highlights Code's narrative of being used and a slave for his own power, because despite being extremely powerful and hyped up to be above Jigen and one of the people who were like the top tiers of Kara, he always seems to fall just short of his goals, almost like fate itself is playing a joke on him.
In Boruto, we are introduced to what is our strongest opponent yet, a being of pure power and a monster from even before the Sage of Six pastime. The god who turned that power, being chakra, into a power to connect with others and experience love. The Ten-Tails, which achieves ego. The Ten-Tails named itself Jura and finds his instincts calling to consume Naruto. The evolving chakra through his concept alone, Jura questions the value of love and asks for its purpose in battle. Is it a strength or is it a weakness? Through various battles, Jura is forced to face this question himself. His clone, Matsui, is failed by her love, showing the value of love is inconsequential. Love is a weakness, and his other clone, Ryu, is failed by the love of Sarada, proving that the value of love and proving it is a strength. Now Jura is forced to face this question himself. Standing before Boruto, he absolutely decimates him, beating him senseless and leaving him bloody. Boruto is a shinobi of the next generation, while Jura is a being born from the first tailed beast, the Ten-Tails, who is said to have created the world, even if it is a different tailed beast. And Jura is able to bring him to his knees and question his attachment to the weapon. Boruto carries and sees how Boruto is willing to die over his love for the weapon passed down from his master. But it is that same love that Boruto carries that allows him to cut off Jura's leg and damage him for the first time. And it is by the same love that Kawaki and Boruto team up to take him down. Love threatens Jura as Kawaki, a fellow monster who love had sought out in the form of Naruto. And just like Jura seeks out Naruto in his instinctual desire for destruction, Jura is met with someone just like him, but different at the same time. Jura is met with Kawaki, whose love threatens Jura as he slices him and rips him apart for Naruto's sake, even dealing with the devil, that being the Otsutsuki, Boruto. Both Jura and Kawaki sort of mirror each other, produced as weapons for Ishiki's evolution. As a being, Jura is the Ten-Tails, which produces the chakra fruit, or Ishiki could consume, while Kawaki is the karma bearer for Ishiki to revive in, both feeding off each other to evolve, with Jura requiring an Otsutsuki to produce a fruit, while Kawaki could use a chakra fruit to evolve as an Otsutsuki. With Kawaki being a tool of destruction, he's able to evolve thanks to Naruto, who fills him with love and shows him the true meaning of chakra, a power to connect. While Jura, on the other hand, has an instinctual hunger or impulse towards Naruto. His answer to that instinct is to destroy, to consume Naruto, to learn more about what he is, and through him he seeks to find out what he is. Jura being chakra itself, he sort of searches for the meaning of chakra just as Kawaki once did, and his answer to that is power. In the same vein as Naruto villains, Jura is a sort of dark mirroring of Naruto, which itself plays as an extension of Kawaki, with Kawaki and Jura both being reflections to Naruto himself. Kawaki, who himself grew up just like Naruto, alone and neglected by others, he finds himself a new home in Konoha, and Jura himself finds himself a home with the Shinju. Jura and Naruto are both beings who are the strongest and leaders of the group. They act sort of like fathers for their people. Jura looking after the clones, allowing them to experience other emotions and leading them to their instinctual desires, and Naruto, who looks after the village, seeing each member as part of his family, protects and guides them, allowing the next generation to find their place while also showing those who are alone love, like he did with Kawaki. Naruto acts as a duo with Sasuke, the two protecting the village together, which we see against Momoshiki, the two acting in tandem and being called the strongest as they fight the god who came to destroy them. Jura, meanwhile, acts as a duo with Hidari, the clone of Sasuke, the two attacking the village together and attacking Himawari, Kawaki, and even Boruto.
Something that also goes a bit under the radar about this dynamic with Naruto is how Jura, while seeing Shinju as a family and guiding them to complete themselves like a father or protector would, he allows them to experience the good and bad parts of life, something that shapes every human being and something that is done by every parent, whether it's intentional or not. He even feels the emotion to a certain extent. He is like a mix of a loving father like Naruto, who was protecting and guiding his children, Boruto and Kawaki, to be better, and actual genuine loving shinobi, but with the added benefits of knowing when the pain is necessary to shape a child, like with how Ishiki was with Kawaki, his tough love and training. His target being Naruto or Kurama also adds to how Kurama completed Naruto and was with him since the start. With Boruto, the series showing Naruto almost unable to function without Kurama, even in the Code arc showing how he's basically lost and unable to cope with the fact that he lost his strongest asset. He lost his 6-path Sage Mode, he lost his Kurama Sage Mode, something that was integral to ending the war, something that was integral to stopping Sasuke, and something that was integral to saving the planet. Even the first arc of Boruto highlights how he needed this mode in order to topple the god Momoshiki once he came down with his overwhelming power. Naruto simply cannot cope with the fact that he isn't the strongest anymore, and he simply cannot cope with the fact that he is useless. Naruto is essentially not even top 5 within the arc anymore.
With Jura's part in the story is still unfinished, there's a lot more to explore with his character. Jura as a character is still growing, experiencing new situations and emotions. There's still ways to go with the villain. Even despite so, Jura has already made an impact that well and truly puts him in talks to be one of the greatest villains ever, and there is truly no telling just how far he has to grow. With each fight and each new connection he makes, Jura has continuously evolved in the lens of the leader, but also as a Shinju, as a character in the story, for evolution is its purpose. Ikimo has truly well and done shown his skills as a writer, and as a leader we can only look forward to what new dynamic Jura builds and what new aspect is explored.
I've always liked Marion from Hunter x Hunter, and seeing his trope implemented in Boruto is really exciting. And what Ikimoto is kind of setting up for Jura is going to change everything we know about the story, and I hope all you guys are ready for one hell of a villain.
With that being said, Jura is definitely the most complex and well-written villain thus far in the Boruto series. Honestly, it's surprising seeing how great he actually ended up being this early on, because while he might not have the quantity of Ishiki, Code, or Kawaki, he definitely has the quality to compete with all of them. And I am so excited to see his conclusion and how he continues to grow as a character. Thank you very much to Acro and Lieben for coming and joining me with this kind of narrative or video essay, whatever you want to call it, on one of our favorite villains in Boruto. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let's head towards 10K.